What is your name?
My name is Theresa Heim Miller.
Where were you born and when were you born?
I was born in Wilmington, Delaware.
When were you born?
September 16th, 1928.
Do you have any brothers and sisters?
One brother.
Tell me about him.
He is 18 months older than I am. And he was born in a hospital. But when I came, I was born in a house.
What is his name?
His name is John Joseph, named after his father.
What did your parents do?
What did my parents do? Many things. My mother was the oldest of 11 children, and 3 of them died. But when her mother had her last baby, my mother had to raise the baby till she was 2 years old, and then she became very sick. So she was the oldest then
But
of
the mother died?
7 children.
Did your mother die?
No, just her mother and their children.
Tell me about your father.
My father knew my mother since she was 14 years old, and she was so busy raising her brothers and sisters that she said, I have to take care of my brothers and sisters. So he waited until she was 21. And by that time, everybody was doing their own thing, I guess.
Did you go to college? If so, tell me about it.
No, I didn't go to college. I didn't have any money. But my father offered to send me to a secretarial school. But I was already working for the Board of Education in Delaware, so I didn't need to go back to college. I did not need to go to that kind of a school.
Tell me about your job now.
My job now, after many years of raising children, and in the beginning, I now work as a guide at Heim Museum since 1978.
Tell me about your husband and family.
My husband and his family?
No, your husband and your family.
Well, we met in Wilmington, Delaware when he came to work for DuPont. It was a blind date, meaning that expression doesn't happen today. You had a friend and she knew somebody and she said, this is a nice person and you can go out with him. He's a good person.
Okay, tell me about your family.
Our oldest daughter was Mary Elise Miller. And then we moved to the DuPont company where my husband worked, transferred us to Geneva, Switzerland. And our second daughter, Laura, was born in Geneva, Switzerland. And our third daughter was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. She was the youngest of the 3 daughters. We had no sons and there were no more daughters.
You want to tell us anything else?
About the children?
About anything.
Well, we lived for a while in Geneva, Switzerland, where Laura was born, and then DuPont transferred us to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and that is where Sarah was born. And we had many nice friends there. We lived there 7 years, and the day that Sarah was born was August 30th, and it was about 115 degrees outside and in the hospital. Very hot. But it was very cold in the wintertime. We had lots of snow. So then we got transferred to Cleveland, Ohio. And we were on the part of the lake where the east side got all the snow, so we didn't get as much snow as they did. in the other parts of Ohio. And we lived there for 6 years. And then we got transferred back to Wilmington, Delaware, where we all started.
No, but is there anything else you'd like to share with the camera?
About my being brought up?
Well, anything.
Well, when we heard this from other relatives, but when we were born in Nanny's house, there were a lot of people who lived there. A lot of Nanny is my mother, and the 4 of us slept in the living room, which they told us. The house was hardly big enough for them, and we slept in the living room. And it was during the Depression, and my father didn't have much of a job from one to another, so we moved across the street and we went into a house that we had to pay rent. And that house did not have an inside toilet. So when we moved around another street close by to be near my mother's relatives, we bought a house that was the only house in the neighborhood that had an inside toilet. And we thought that was really wonderful and special. And we didn't have much money growing up. It was during the Depression. But we didn't really think anything of it because everybody that lived around us, they didn't have any money either. So we were all from the same era. But we were happy. We had parents who loved us, and that's important.
You're the director.